Well, good morning, everyone. I am, as we speak, sitting in my hotel in Erbil, overlooking the city. It's going to be a balmy 114 degrees today, and I'm actually getting ready to head out and meet with some people in the government here, so that'll be exciting. But as I've been trying to do every week, post something reference to the topic for the week. And so this week's topic is over the concept of following the child and whether or not it's still pertinent, whether it makes sense, and really is it still relevant, especially based on the idea that it was originally described 100 years ago. You all have all written. Well, I've been here too long. All have written really interesting responses to the question, and so I wanted to share some original thoughts that go along with what you said, and complement what you said. I guess the big when I think of that question, what I really think about is what does it mean? So a common misconception about Montessori by the public and by many Montessorians even is this idea that follow the child means let the child do whatever they want, we'll fall behind them to pick up the pieces or something like that. Or this idea that because there's choice, there's limitless choice, and because there's freedom, there's limitless freedom. When the reality is there's freedom with limits, and with freedom comes responsibility. That there is choice, but it's not a choice. Children do not have choice to do everything under the sun. If you have a choice between doing three things, that's very different than doing 3 billion things, right? So a choice is not to disrupt others. A choice is not to harm materials or do inappropriate things. It's you have a choice between a finite number of things. And so if we understand that idea and then we look at following the child, it sort of makes it more relevant or more easy to digest. If we as Montessorians understand again the concept of a prepared environment, and then within that prepared environment that does not just include materials and sequence of materials, but a prepared place where they're emotionally safe, where you as the adult or the guide has created an atmosphere where their choices are all good choices, and then we allow them to explore and discover on their own, then I think it makes sense. Somebody wrote about curriculum and following the child there as well. I mean, that's clearly one of the sort of big, not concepts, so I'm having a hard time today with my words, but one of the big picture things in Montessori is that we're not forcing children to follow a curriculum mapping schedule that's a one-size-fits-all, right? So, for example, if we have a first grader who's doing third grade work and a third grader they're doing first grade work, that's absolutely fine. We want to meet them where they're at and sort of follow them where they're at, because if they have, we're talking about the third grader who's doing first grade work. If we force them to do third grade work and it's not built on solid foundation, the building's going to crumble, right? So we want to go back and figure out what they need, give it to them so that way they can understand it and do it well. And you can apply that example to social situations as well. So I do think it's relevant, but it has to be relevant within context. It can't be this open-ended idea of we're going to follow the child, we're going to let them do whatever they want, and they're going to run the roost. I talk to many people out in the world in education, and they think of Montessori as the wild, wild west. And the reality is when a Montessori classroom is being run well, as you all probably know, you're going to walk in and it's going to be exactly the opposite. Whereas in most, early childhood classes, the children are working hard, and whether there's of course going to be noise, it's productive noise. Whereas if you go to a nursery, where the kids are, being entertained, once they're done being entertained by somebody else or something else, then it sort of goes the opposite direction. So if we can create environments that include, what we're doing as guides, and then we prepare students for choice within reason, and then allow them to make choice, then following the child certainly makes sense to me, and I think is certainly relevant. I mean, and then also I'm teaching a different course on adolescent programs, and you think about, whereas follow the child, generally most people think about it with early childhood or younger children, it certainly applies with older children too. But again, I feel the same situation exists. We have to put in parameters and guidelines because some children, if if they don't have that guidance, or if they don't have that those boundaries, or then following the child may not be the best idea. So that's my couple minute rant for the day. I hope you all are enjoying the readings, and I very much enjoyed reading your responses. Again, I encourage you, if you feel like ever making a video, I know there's a better way to do this, but I'm doing it on YouTube and then loading it, which takes a lot of time, especially when you're doing it on the other side of the world. But I would encourage you to do it because it's a great way to get to know each other, and I look forward to reading your responses. Again, you have a different assignment coming up this week, so please look carefully. I also posted it in the email I sent just a couple days ago. So have a wonderful rest of the week, and I look forward to speaking with you all soon.